Having my calendar really be my task list, my priority list, has helped me really move forward on so many of the projects that I've been working on. And that's probably the other thing that it's helped me to do too, is say no to certain projects that don't filter into, my top 3 priorities for the quarter and for the month and the week.
Hey, welcome to the podcast where dreams meet determination and success is just around the corner. I'm your host, Suzanne Taylor-King, and I'm here to help you unlock the full potential of your business and your life. Welcome to Unlock Your Way with STK. Let's unlock your path to success together. Good morning, everyone. It's Suzanne Taylor-King here for another episode of Unlock Your Way with STK. And I'm super excited for this conversation today with David McGlennan. He is an executive coach and culture just extraordinaire and facilitator in the exchange method, which is really exciting. We're going to dive into some things exchange today as well. Welcome, David.
Hey, Suzanne, thank you so much for having me here. I'm really excited about this conversation today.
Yeah, it's funny. Immediately upon hearing you talk sometime last year when we got connected, I thought he gets it. And I think part of that, not only do you get coaching and facilitation and people so well, but you have this background in wellness, which maybe that just stands out to me. How did your wellness background transition to today?
Yeah, well, I tell you, there was a moment in time when I was 33 years old, and I looked at myself and I thought, oh my goodness, I can't be my father. And so I made some changes in my life. And I also had some small children too. At the time I had 5 small children, and I wanted to be around for their weddings, for their significant events, and just for their lives. And so I made a decision to put my health at the very high end of my priorities. Some would say I went a little bit overboard because I connected with a workout partner who eventually got me into triathlons and crazy stuff like hanging off the side of mountains and things like that.
Overachiever.
Yeah, just a little bit. So it's kind of like over the top. And it's my wife knows now that I don't do anything halfway. It's just, full speed and afterburner all the way. Mm-hmm. But because of that, then I was in the wellness industry for a number of years, along with the insurance industry. And so I kind of married my insurance and employee benefits knowledge with wellness. And so those two came together back in 2008, 2009, when I was part of a startup company back then. And really what I saw in that space was a lot of CEOs, a lot of CFOs who are looking to create a culture of health and wellness for their people, because instinctively they knew that was the right thing to do. However, I will tell you, they didn't go about it the right way. Most of the time, they were simply, cost shifting, and they really didn't have the people at the center of the equation. And so I wanted to change that, and I wanted to be able to help leaders understand that when leaders are performing and when leaders are growing, that their company is going to grow as well. And so it really takes a balance of focus. And so that's really where I feel like wellness and culture can kind of come together. And I think it's a really great approach when it's done right.
I'm so glad I asked that question because I can totally feel that with you. And maybe it's just a presence type of thing. I believe everything is energy. And when you show up as a person who's taking care of themselves mentally, physically, emotionally, all of those things, you can be so much more powerful in the space with other people. And you do show up really strong with other people. Let's talk a little bit about that. What's that like for you to do that?
Yeah. So one of the things that, at least for me, that my health has done is it. Well, let me back up. I've really been a very disciplined individual, pretty much most of my life. In college, I was abnormal. I was getting up at 4:30 in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, and having a morning routine back then. That got interrupted by children for a little bit. So I wasn't, there was a period of time when I wasn't that disciplined, but I came back to it. But discipline, I think, is really what's needed when it comes to our own personal health. And discipline doesn't have to be, a negative thing or a, kind of a bad word, so to speak. And I think people fear discipline, but to me, it gives me stability because I know that. As a matter of fact, thinking about my workout partner, we had this thing where he got off work. He was a police officer. So I was always, either being chased by the law or chasing the law, I used to say. But he would get off work at 2:35 and he would be at the gym at 2:38 in the afternoon. If I wasn't at the gym at 2:38 in the afternoon, I was going to get, a lot of crap. And so that discipline then helped me to pull me forward. So I think to me, it's really about having a regular schedule and routine and discipline to make that a priority. And it doesn't matter when you do it or when if you're exercising at one time or another, it doesn't matter. It's just as long as it's in your calendar, I think that's what's important.
Yeah. Let's say hi to Craig. He said,
"Hey, Craig. Oh man, how are you, man? Hey, good to see you."
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, what's interesting about that, I think discipline has a bad rap,
Yeah.
and I had a coach 5 or 6 years ago who called them algorithms. And he just said to put things in place that are you. So if or when I wake up, I do this. And you're just running the program. That's my discipline.
Yes.
I think, when somebody has a resistance to either a morning routine or a schedule or a calendar or whatever, we talked a little bit about the magic of having your assistant manage your calendar. It's all together.
Oh my gosh.
It's all together. And one of the things that I started doing was not eating at nighttime after dinner. Like after dinner, that was it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And I ran the algorithm for that. What does that look like? When I eat dinner, it's before 6 p.m. and it's the last food of the day. Oh yeah, when you walk into the kitchen at 8 p.m. looking for something to pick on.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not part of my program.
That's not part of my algorithm or my program. Yeah, for sure. I love that. I love that. Yeah, I think that as I think about, even what you're sharing there, the algorithm or kind of the program, I think that when we put a filter on our lives and have those things like health at the top of the list, it does help us to be a lot more disciplined and more, systematic, I guess is maybe a better word too, about, the approach.
Yeah. It doesn't feel as daunting when you do it that way.
Right. And I will say too, one of the things that I think helped me to be more consistent was having a buddy, having an accountability partner helped drag my butt to the gym when I knew I needed to be at the gym. And it also gave me a little bit of a motivation as well, because, there is a part of me that's a little competitive. And so, whenever we were running together, we used to say we'd have our hormones fire up, and
Yeah.
that competition just really helped spur us on. And so having that partner is really so important.
As in anything, having a partner in your parenting, having a partner in your business, having a partner, I have 2 business besties who literally, without their input and accountability and, hey, last week you said you were going to do XYZ. Did I?
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay.
Whoops.
It really holds you to your word when you're going for that next goal, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And actually it also helps you. So I have another friend of mine who used to call me up in January, and he'd say, "Hey, David, what events are you going to do? Let's sign up for them right now." And I'm like, "Oh crap. Okay." So we pick our events, and we would sign up for them. So it's like, okay, I'm committed. I put some money on the line. So now I got to train for that. And so that also, was another great methodology to be able to put some money on the line and put your money where your mouth is, so that you're going to be training for something.
As with everything, putting something on the line or a reward in place afterwards is very, very helpful. All right, let's talk a little bit about their calendar that you mentioned.
Yes.
I notice in my travels through the entrepreneurial space that 90% of entrepreneurs struggle with FOMO, shiny object syndrome, putting too much on their calendars. And you have some really cool boundaries in place with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will say that very recently I hired an executive assistant. Shout out to Karen Fasulo. She's amazing. Karen, thank you. Karen has helped me to be able to rescue me from myself, because
Love that.
on my calendar, so I use something called the Full Focus Planner, which is a methodology that Michael Hyatt put together. And it's actually a physical book. And so I use a little bit of a hybrid between my electronic calendar and a hybrid system. But in that system, he has you create the ideal week. And so there are days in my week that are specifically designed for creative work, preparatory work, and then, what he calls front stage work, things like this, where I'm talking to people, where I'm doing the things that I do best. I'm coaching, I'm facilitating for clients. And so within those boundaries, though, then left to my own devices on a creative day, I could say, oh yeah, I could see you on a Monday. And thankfully hiring Karen has helped me to be able to not do that, and to really hold fast to my boundaries, because I need them. I really need them. And so having my calendar really be my task list, my priority list, has helped me really move forward on so many of the projects that I've been working on. And that's probably the other thing that has helped me to do too, is say no to certain projects that don't filter into, my top 3 priorities for the quarter and for the month and the week. And so that's something else that I do too. I limit my tasks for the day, and day, week, and month and quarter to just 3. Because if I can be that focused on those 3 things, then I know that I'm moving forward on my projects that are really important, and the other ones can just, kind of filter out. And that's been so helpful for me.
I love to hear this, because this is a skill that anyone can learn. Calendar boundaries. I remember learning some stuff from Cal Newport.
Yes.
And,
yes.
He talks a lot about that just idea of creating your weeks ahead of time, creating your months ahead of time. At the beginning of the year, one of the things I like about Michael Hyatt too is put the things that are important to you on the calendar first. So if it's exercise time or a family vacation, block those times out so you're not tempted to fill and you're not tempted to not do them.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I love that. Those are, putting those big, big brick rocks in your calendar first is so important. And I, somebody like, at least my personality style is that I even though they're on my calendar, in my mind, they can be negotiable. So having somebody that's not me managing that has been incredibly helpful for me because like I said, she's been saving me from myself because she knows that I need time to prep for a client that I've got in 2 weeks. And so, anyway, it's definitely a skill that anybody can learn. And I think it's something that is, like you said, it's lacking in a lot of entrepreneurs right now because they just throw on whatever whatever comes their way and they don't have any filter. And, I think you mentioned Cal Newport, and I don't know if you've read his latest book called Slow Productivity, but it really is a great approach to those people who are more creative and in the knowledge economy that we live in. It's going to be more important for us to measure productivity and define productivity differently than we have in the past. Back in the industrial era, we could, count widgets and percentage of time and all of this kind of thing. And so he really shows how it is, we're in a new era and we have to redefine what productivity really is. So I think that's the start of this whole idea of our calendar and priorities, and not feeling guilty for, doing, say 4 hours of or 3 hours of really intense, deep work in Cal Newport's terminology. And then being okay with, okay, I'm done for the day. He talks about, especially creatives, it's, I grew up in an era where it's like, no, you show up at 8 a.m. and if you leave at 5 p.m., you're slacking. 6 p.m. Okay. But we don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah. I think that's really, that was the biggest piece from that book that I took away was that, creating deep work time. Yeah. I love to learn. So how can I get paid to learn at scale? Well, the only way to do that is if I am scheduling time to learn in a focused way. And, for me, that means one topic at a time. And I go deep on that topic for up to 30, 60 days. And all of my deep work blocks are focused on that topic.
I love it.
And one of my clients said, oh, how did you learn? Let's use ChatGPT for an example. Hot topic right now. Yeah. How did you learn to navigate that so well? Oh, well, that was my topic for 60 days. Sure. And I'm still continuing. I have a little block once a week because I love AI technology, right? Geeking out.
Yes, I love it.
So there's a 2-hour window on Thursdays that is for me to play with new platforms, new technology, so great. I just heard about this. I just wrote it down. It's called Distribute AI, and it will create a landing page for you that kind of looks like just a written copy landing page for a product or a service. And it uses AI to distribute that landing page out across the web. So I heard it.
Very cool.
I need to learn not how to do it so much, but I need to learn about it. Who's the founder? How did they do this? Just so curious, right?
Right.
I didn't have that 2-hour block. I would have gotten sidetracked the day I wrote that on a Post-it for Thursday. I think it was Monday, right? Yesterday, I got to spend 2 hours diving into that and another platform. Fuels my soul. Love it. Well,
love that.
If that's not on the calendar, you don't get to do those things.
You miss it. Yes, exactly. You miss it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm curious, Suzanne. How do you talk to leaders who maybe feel like they don't have as much autonomy or agency over their calendar? Because I get that a lot, especially from
Oh yeah.
emerging leaders who are kind of in the middle of an organization, and I'm just kind of curious more than anything. How do you help them or instruct them?
Well, I think number one is you have to educate people how to treat you as a
Yes,
leader.
that's good. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
I think it starts with that,
Mhm.
the way your assistant handles your calendar. It's very respectful. It's very like, I thought, wow, this is great. It wasn't hard to schedule with you. It was, and I've
Sure.
done it a couple times now for
Yeah, sure.
this and another conversation.
Right.
So I think by you taught me how to treat you.
Mm. Oh,
So
interesting.
if I don't do that with my clients, and I have to do that, I have to teach people how to treat me, how to schedule, when I'm
Mm.
available, when I'm not available. And one of
Yeah.
the biggest things for me personally was email. I
Ah,
check
yes.
email once a day at the end
Yeah.
of my day. So if
Mm.
you email me at 10 o'clock in the morning,
Yep.
don't expect an answer.
Yeah.
Don't, don't.
Right. I
And
totally get it. Yep.
I think most people are afraid to do that.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. I think we fear
Mhm.
I don't know. There's probably multiple layers of fear, but yeah, we don't have to respond right away.
Right.
And I'm the same way. I do email twice a day, and it's been so freeing because then I can focus on the things that are important. And like, for example, yesterday I had a full day of coaching clients, and so I was able to be present with them, and I have such a better day when I am focused because I'm sending my energy and expending my energy in the way that I know is in alignment with my purpose. So it's so important.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think as a leader, uh, email shouldn't be your first line of communication.
Right.
I fully believe that that's what's missing in
Mm,
most companies. I'm wondering if you find this too. Like, within the company culture,
yeah.
face to face conversations are too short or they're
Mm,
tried over email, and
yeah.
you miss the emotion, you miss the
100%.
human connection piece of it.
Yep. Yeah.
And my husband recently said he got 40 emails on
Mm,
one project in a 24-hour period because everybody that was working on the project was all emailing and copying each other.
yeah.
And I said, "Did you read them all?"
No.
Sorry,
Right.
honey. Sorry, honey, I
Right.
ratted you out, right?
Just outed him. Yeah.
You
Uh,
can't keep up with
no.
that volume of
Right.
communication. So
Right.
how do you help a company that's struggling with that? Because it's
Yeah.
such a deep-rooted piece within culture.
Yeah, and it's so common too, Suzanne. And I one of the things that I can give you a quick example. So I was coaching a president of an organization, and because he came up through that organization, he was on so many distribution lists that he was
Oh,
getting emails from things that he didn't need to be involved in.
mm,
And so I just helped him to see that he could be empowered to exit from those distribution lists. And by doing that, that cut his email like in half. So
wow.
it really is looking at those things that asking yourself a question, do I really need to be involved in this? And again, coming back to something you said earlier, teach people how to treat you, teach people how to interact with you. I tell Karen, I don't need to know. Don't blind copy me. Don't copy me on stuff.
Nice.
As long as you've got it, you've got it, and I trust you, and it'll show up on my calendar. So I don't need all of the extra email because it's just clutter.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I teach. And then the other thing that I teach too is, if you're going back and forth, more than twice, you've got to get on a Zoom call, get on some kind of a Teams call, get live, pick up the telephone. I know that's old fashioned, but pick it up and let's talk about it, because you're right. When we talk about inflections, energy, you can feel it through those mediums so I think that that's really important too. And to the extent that you can stop the back and forth, the ping pong email stuff, I think it's so much better for the culture of the organization too, because people aren't exasperated. Mm-hmm. When people get exasperated, then they start to either just being resigned to, hey, I'm never going to keep up. It's not a badge of honor to have 10,000 emails unread in your inbox. I'm sorry, it's just not a badge of honor. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. I'll step off my soapbox for just a second, but
it's so good. It's so good because I feel like the art of communication, especially between generations. I have a client right now who's a communications coach, and she helps companies communicate, between the generations, because there's such a disconnect. Like, my son won't call me, he'll text me.
Right.
I'm a caller because that's my generation,
Sure.
Grew up in the 80s. My phone was attached to the wall with a long cord, right?
Right. Yeah.
I bought a super long cord so I could go into my room.
Go around the corner. Yeah, exactly.
A whole different generation now.
Yep.
But
yes.
I believe connections are in your phone, right?
Yeah.
So somebody who I'm going to, if a client has my phone number or my WhatsApp number, and there's actually, you can hear my voice when I talk to you. Very important. To me,
yeah, for sure.
To me, it's important. Yeah. But, other people don't communicate that way. So I think it's important, let's talk about that a little bit. Within a company, you have, 4 different generations of people.
Right.
Possibly some family members. So there could be some
dynamics there. Sure.
So as a rule, how do you go into a company and help them not only communicate better, but most companies have culture, but they haven't defined it. It's not, or maybe they do have a poster in the kitchen or in the break room, and it's some lame poster that nobody's ever read.
Right.
How do you help them actually embrace that culture and truly communicate it within the ranks?
You just hit on something that I think is where a lot of companies fall flat, and that is they don't define it. If they've defined it, it is just on a wall. It's on a piece of paper and in a drawer somewhere. Mm-hmm. And so I think there's really 2 components here. First of all, define the culture that you want, because you're going to have a culture, and it's either going to be by design or by default. And so preferably, I want to design it. If I'm the CEO of the company, I want to be able to design the culture that I want. And that's, it is not just nice words on the wall either. Excuse me. It's behaviors. How do we do things around here? So, define the behaviors. So we practice blameless problem solving. We listen generously. We speak straight. We get clear on expectations. Those kinds of definitions will help guide people's behavior. And it doesn't just stop there, though. So once we define them, then we have to create what I call the rituals, or you can call them cadences, rhythms, to be able to communicate them, talk about them all the time. So one of the things that I will recommend for, my clients is that you incorporate them in every meeting that you have. Take I call them fundamentals. It's, behavior, fundamental, same thing. But when you talk about them and you take one every week and talk about it at every meeting, think about how many meetings a typical, CEO has or a VP has, if you're talking about them at the beginning of each meeting that you have, man, you're going to be talking about practicing blameless problem solving a lot in a week. And then the next week, we're going to have another behavior. And so that ritual then helps to communicate over and over and over again. And, let's face it, human behavior needs repetition. So that's really what makes a huge difference in communicating and creating that culture by design and with intention.
Beautiful. And such a perfect full circle moment to have the aha that what you just described in the work that you do is the work you've done on yourself as a human. Algorithms, habits, boundaries, and really living the culture of you. I love that.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a perfect spot for me to say thank you so much for this conversation today and what you do
my pleasure.
in the world. Your zone of genius is awesome.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Oh, you're so welcome. How can our listeners get in touch with you and find out more about you?
Yeah, sure. So you can always check out the things I'm doing on LinkedIn. David McGlennan. My website, davidmcglennan.com, is another place. I'm on all the platforms. I do have a podcast called In the Growth Space, so you can check me out there as well. A lot of times I'm talking to leaders who have gone on a growth journey themselves. And any of those places, reach out to me. I'd love to have a connection and however I can help, I'd love to be able to do that.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for being here. And I'm so just excited for our listeners to hear a little bit about your way. And I'm so glad we got to have this conversation today.
Thanks, Suzanne. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for tuning in to another empowering episode of Unlock Your Way. I hope you found today's discussion inspiring and you're ready to take your business and personal growth to that next level. If you're feeling as fired up as I am and eager to unlock that full potential, I'm here to help you on your journey and provide that personalized guidance tailored to your unique goals and challenges. Simply book a one-on-one coaching call with me and we'll dive deep into your business aspirations and see how we could co-create a roadmap for your success. And whether you're striving to scale an enterprise or just getting started, I'm here to support you every step of the way. To schedule your coaching call, simply visit the website at unlockyourwaywithstk.com, click on the Book a Call button, and we'll turn your dreams into that reality. Subscribe and review on your favorite podcast platform and on YouTube. Plus, you can join over 800 entrepreneurs in the Idea Lab Facebook group. Let's make success as an entrepreneur happen together. Until next time, I'm STK. Keep dreaming big, stay focused, and most of all, have fun while you're doing it.